So let's pull in Mike Finn now. He's a researcher in British politics at the University of Warwick. Mike, thanks for taking the time to be on the show tonight. Let's talk about this decision by the Supreme Court today. How significant, how big of a blow is it to the Prime Minister's Brexit plans?
Well, it's perhaps not as big a blow as she might have anticipated a few months ago. I think the government has been aware that this is likely to be the outcome, at least for the past couple of months. I think they'd resigned themselves to some degree. And certainly here in the UK, there's a sense that actually it could have been a lot worse. The judgment did say that the Parliament has to be consulted and the Parliament has to vote for Article 50 to be implemented. However, what it also said was it excluded the devolved governments of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland from consultation. So if the court had ruled in that direction, that would have been a real headache for Mrs May. As it is, it's a setback, but it's not possibly the devastating blow that it might have been.
It's a setback, but it's certainly not what the people in Scotland or Northern Ireland wanted to hear. But I'm wondering, how is this going to work then if you've got, for example, the Parliament in Scotland saying, we want amendments to whatever is decided, and if not, we're going to go for another independence referendum?
Yeah, I think that's the kind of situation in British politics at the moment. We tend to try and deal with the problems that we face at the moment and store up others for the future. I think the Scottish National Party obviously today has already said that it will look to table up to 50 amendments to the legislation. The government is going to try and word this legislation very tightly to make some of those amendments inadmissible. But being serious, you've hit on the essential point. This is going to legitimise Scottish calls for further independence, for independence itself, for actual political separation. Now, at the moment, the polling in Scotland suggests there is still a majority in favour of remaining within the Union. But the dynamics of Brexit could change that. If ultimately Scots feel that their economic security and well-being is threatened by the Brexit process, then clearly that could prompt a second independence referendum, as you suggest. So politically, the situation in terms of the Union is not great at the moment.
And, you know, we hate to beat a dead horse here, but let's just go all the way back to the referendum from last summer. You know, we've told our audience many times that that referendum is not binding, it's not legally binding on Parliament. So couldn't Parliament take this to a vote and say no to Brexit and the entire thing be history? I mean, isn't that a possibility, or am I just, you know, repeating people's wishful thinking?
No, I think it is. It's always a theoretical possibility. And you're quite right to note to your viewers that it was an advisory referendum. Referenda in the UK are generally not binding, but a convention has emerged since the devolution referenda of the 1990s that they will be treated as binding. And that's where we are. The political dynamics of Brexit are such that it's very unlikely there could be a circumstance in which the House of Commons at least would vote this down. There was a motion vote in December to approve or to endorse the idea of triggering Article 50 by the end of March. That's really where we are. The issue is more about whether or not the Prime Minister's hands will be tied by amendments to the legislation. That's more where we are than any realistic possibility of it not happening.
Okay. Dr. Mike Finn, a researcher at Warwick University, talking to us about this next step in the saga of Brexit. Mike, thank you very much.